or in the modern scientific community, what is the status of multi-universes. But even to take our single universe, the fact that God says very clearly that He is expanding them, no way. This is not even something you can guess, because you can't even comprehend it if you don't know Riemannian geometry. There was no way that Prophet Muhammad could have known it. If you think he can know this, I think you're giving him too much of a credit by himself. Big Bang. Okay, now expansion of universe has another nice fact related to it. If the universe is expanding, now go back in time, it contracts to an initial singularity, or as Hawking and some people try to put it as some quantum cosmological models, but whatever, it contracts to a beginning. Now when universe contracts to a beginning, this was the Big Bang theory, that universe started up as an initial singularity, and now we're trying to think about vacuum fluctuation, whatever. Universe started 13.7 billion years ago and just blew off from a very, very small thing. Everything on Earth, everything in this room, every star you see in the sky, everything you see was all joined together in this extreme, just after the collision in Big Bang, in this extremely dense stuff, and then there was inflation, and even at the Big Bang all of the stuff was joined together, and then it just blew apart. And second thing was, that is how the universe came up. We all know how the universe came up. How did the life come up? All the life came up from sea. It had aquatic origin. All the life we see today evolved from simple species, which were the life. Earth is 4.8 billion years ago. Simple cells came up 3.8 billion years ago. Photosynthesis started 3 billion years ago, and gradually as the life evolved, it evolved to land some 0.5 billion years ago. So all the life evolved from sea, and has aquatic origin. Could these things be known at the time of Prophet? About the Big Bang, definitely no. And oh yeah, I forgot to tell you one more thing. Many people think Big Bang is a theory. It was a theory when it was given, but now about 1968 it became a fact, because the thing was that if Big Bang ever occurred, there should have been a residual radiation left, and the temperature of this residual radiation was calculated to be about 3 Kelvin, and it actually was detected to be 3 Kelvin. This is called the cosmic microwave background radiation, and we have detected it. After the detection of this radiation, Big Bang theory became a fact. It's no longer a theory, it's called a theory, but it is a scientific fact, because we have now experimental evidences which show Big Bang occurred. And we have very precise data about how Big Bang occurred. The discovery of 3 Kelvin radiation showed that Big Bang is not a theory, it is a scientific fact. And now nobody really disputes it, apart from the ones who had really been working on steady state theory, and they can't just do anything else. But I think even they have left disputing it. I just know of 4 or 5 cosmologists whom nobody takes seriously in the cosmological community, because they can't answer for the 3 Kelvin radiation. But actually most of the scientific community thinks, in fact almost all of it thinks, that now Big Bang is a fact. So take it as a fact. Aquatic origin of life, it's a very strong thing. Still we have problems, but yeah, there is no other possible logical explanation to life than evolution from sea. I would put it at that. What does Quran say on it? Do not the unbelievers see that all the universes along with the earth were joined together as one unit of creation before God clothed them asunder, and I made every living thing from water. Will they not then believe? Big Bang, aquatic origin of life. Beautiful. I mean, if I was trying to talk about Big Bang to people in Arabian desert, there was no other better way I could say that, okay, everything you see in this room, on the earth, and all the universe up there, and more than that, there are many universes, all of them were joined together, and then God blew them apart, and then all the life you see, it originated from water. Beautiful. I'm really stuck by the beauty of this work. Another thing, again, the thing about universes comes, I want to explain it a little later. Let's come to something more understandable. This was about Riemannian geometry, and apart from experts, it's very difficult to understand it, but this is something which is common knowledge, which can be understood even by non-experts. You see, what happens is that the earth is dynamic, in the sense that earth is formed, there are crusts around the surface of the earth, and these crusts are moving. Now this movement of crusts, when the two titanic plates meet, they form a mountain. And gradually what happens is, so the mountains are dynamically forming because of this motion of the plates underneath, and then due to weathering, these mountains gradually disappear. So you can say that the mountain, even though it's not apparent to us, it's a phenomena which takes millions of years, mountains are dynamically forming and weathering off. Just like you see the clouds, okay? The clouds are dynamically forming because of wind, and then weathering off and dying off because of rain or just dissolving off. So the way you see some clouds matching up, clouds forming, clouds disappearing, that's exactly how the topography of Earth behaves. Mountains are dynamically forming, dynamically disappearing, okay? It's not a static thing. Now, if you asked anybody in the Arabian desert, what do you think of mountains? The firmest thing that they could think 1400 years ago was a mountain. They saw the stars, the planets moving, they saw everything changing, but mountain? No way. It was mountain, it was huge. That's probably, if you wanted to give an expression that something is immovable, you would call it a mountain 1400 years ago, because the idea was that this was the only structure you saw and you thought it to be the most permanent structure. Now what does Quran say on it? You see the mountains and think them firmly fixed. As I said, you would think them, Arabian people would think they are firmly fixed. You see the mountains and think them firmly fixed, but they pass away like the passing of clouds. Such is the work of God who perfected all things. Surely God is well acquainted with all that you do. With all that you do. Yeah. So this is shocking for me, because this goes even against the common sense of those people. I mean, the last thing they could think of is a mountain being a dynamic structure, and God actually says this. The last thing you can think of is of a mountain is that it's dynamic, but it actually is dynamic. It is not static. It forms and disappears like clouds form and disappear. So this is beautiful. If try to think, and this is something which is an affirmation against the common belief. So even though the common belief, the common sense, everything you can think of tells you this, no, but it is this. And science actually came to know that it's this. We know now mountains form and disappear. So for me, this is just shocking, this verse. I don't think there was any way Prophet Muhammad could have known it apart from revelation from God. Okay. Pairs in plants as well as in nature. We know that plants have both male and female parts. We know that all particles have their antiparticles. Okay. Every particle that you see out there in nature has its antiparticles. In nature occurs in parity. And if supersymmetry is true, then all particles will have their supersymmetric counterparts. But in any case, nature occurs in parity. And definitely plants do have pairs, male and female pairs. Now, I try to research about it. I do not know when this was discovered, but I would guess not at the time of Prophet, because the fact that plants are living was also disputed much after the Prophet. I mean, there were people coming up with arguments that plants are not living, and only very late, I mean not very lately, but it took some time for the scientists to come to know where the plants are living. So it would be very unlikely that people knew this. But again, the fact that I didn't find it, of course it could have been there, and I should admit that this is a possibility. I mean, I have not been able to find it, but maybe you can find it, and this might have been a possibility that this knowledge could have existed. Particles and antiparticles, no way, but the statement in Quran is not very clear about it. It's a little ambiguous, so you could fit the context and you could not. I'll be very frank about it. So this is not a very strong proof like the ones I gave you before this, but okay, I could mention it in terms of a passing reference. So God says, glory to God who created all the pairs of things that the earth produces, as well as their own kind, and other things of which they have no knowledge. Now, other things that of which they have no knowledge, people in that time knew animals. There are pairs in animals. So I would guess that this could be about particle-antiparticles, or even if supersymmetry is true, supersymmetric pairs. But as you see, this is not as clear as the previous verses. So if this verse was presented to me as such, and it was said to me, could this be a verse based on it you would accept a book to be divine? I would probably say